This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Well, I really wish I was that guy. But I'll fill in for him. All right. Great to have you with us on the show today. Brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drink, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. Ready-to-drink cocktails now. High Noon, Crown Royal, Jack Daniels, and the Pickle Bar, led by the Barrels and the Dills. Indeed, second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. We welcome in from On3.com, who's normally 98 on the slogan, Nate Bauer. Sir, welcome.
How we doing?
Sitting in Ann Arbor. It's been a long weekend.
How's that? Is that as cold as it is here?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's not great. Golf season is a long ways away, it feels like. Man,
I'll tell you, I need a simulator right now. Probably would simulate.
That's exactly where my head's at. I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, I'm trying to, because we're coming down the highway at Iowa, going to Cedar Rapids. Well, actually, we're going north, and we went past one of those golf target centers. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask the bus to pull over. I'd take a few swings here and see how it goes.
Was that before or after a 1-point loss for Penn State?
After. I needed to get frustration out.
Yep. You gotta get the detour there.
Yeah, had to do that. Jim Knowles gets hired, Nate. There's certain moments where I feel like you make a statement of who you are and what you desire to be. The hiring of Jim Knowles is what statement did Penn State make?
Yeah, here's my problem. I'm already going to go on a detour. Here's my problem. James Franklin has been insistent on this for a decade. Yeah. Right? That's the whole point of this is there will rightfully be a ton of conversation about Pat Kraft and his leadership and opening up the purse strings, saying, hey, we are committed to winning and we understand the college football landscape and what it costs and how to do it. But all of this originated with James Franklin 11 years ago, right?
Absolutely.
Bringing a mindset into the program that, being honest, had grown stale. It had lost that identity, that mindset. And granted, the circumstances of the time dictated a certain attitude towards football. But if you're in the sport and you want to compete at the absolute highest levels, which Penn State traditionally has always wanted to do, then there are certain behaviors that you need to take. And one of them is being extremely aggressive in everything, right? It's not just staff hires, it's everything. It's your facilities. Right. It's how you conduct, it's how you conduct yourself. And with this hire, it is the most dramatic of those statements, but it can't be perceived as the beginning, right? It's not. This is the exclamation point.
Right, exactly right, because he knew from day one that when he stepped in, that he knew what, especially after being in the SEC, he knew what they were doing down there. And he knew that Penn State needed to get online with that to be successful, if not surpass it. And he may have had to fight hard to get certain things along the way. But this is where the alignment part comes in. And this is how the major leagues are run. And he's been doing this and trying to fight it for 11 years. Is that fair?
100,000% fair, right? This is hiring coordinators, hiring position coaches. Your entire approach to running a college football program boils down to talent acquisition. That's it. Mm-hmm. Is how are you able to bring as many good people that are the best at what they do into your program? It is personnel, staff, it is coaches, it is players, it is across the board. And so if you don't carry that mindset with you, which is, again, I mean, I think it's a conversation that has been happening somewhat quietly at Penn State for 10 years, something that James Franklin has tried to get out into the forefront. You have to balance how you do it in terms of the reception that people have towards it. But there has been an attitude for years and years and years of, oh, we don't need that. We don't need that. We're Penn State. We can do this with the people that we have, or with the budget that we have. Well, no, right? Why does Penn State, like, I get the conversation around Ohio State and 1-18 or right, whatever those numbers are. Why is Penn State not favored to win that game? Right? In all the years that Penn State has lost that game to Ohio State, has Penn State been favored, a betting favorite to win that game, even once? The answer is no. The answer is no. Well, why? Right? Because Ohio State gets better players than Penn State. Ohio State outbids Penn State on coaches. Ohio State does all of these things that universally, across the country, everybody recognizes as being the standard of what it means to operate at an elite level in college football. And Penn State gets really close to that. They do a lot of things really, really well. But to take Jim Knowles from Ohio State coming off of a national championship, it means two things. It means, yes, Penn State has him in their coaching booth this year, but it also means Ohio State doesn't. Right? Like that, right. That is a massively understated component to this. Is for as much as Penn State has been frustrated, Penn State has one garbage time touchdown in its last two games against Ohio State. Well, guess what? The guy that ran the defense that Penn State had to face and Penn State had so much trouble with over the last 2 years, yeah, he's now in Penn State's coaching box.
Well, I always have a standard when you hire an offensive or defensive coordinator. I'll leave the special teams part of it out of it for the moment. And my standard is simple. Is the person you're bringing in on the offensive side have the ability to get you one more score each half? Conversely, can your defensive coordinator that you are bringing in have the ability with his personnel and his coaches around him to get you one more stop each half? If Penn State gets one more stop each half, they don't lose a game this season.
That's correct. That's correct. And not only doesn't lose a game this season, but doesn't lose a game to the final ranking number 1, number 2, and number 3 team in the country.
That's right.
Right? You're not talking about, this is a team that loses to Michigan State. That is no longer the conversation about this. This is Penn State is competing with consistently the very best teams in college football. However, it needs to get over the hump, right? This is the way that this trajectory has been going for a while, but also one that, again, going back to commitment and investment. And the new, what this signals to the rest of college football is that Penn State's been trying for really the last 2 years, not the last 11. Penn State has been committed and doing things at that level really for the last 2 years, and I would actually argue one, right? For the last year, this is where it has been of evaluating the landscape, seeing the areas of deficiency, and then going all in. They believe in James Franklin. They believe in not just James Franklin and the way he operates the football program, the people within the football program, and then to a broader extent, they're signaling a commitment and a belief in Penn State fans, right? That the community that surrounds this program and is thirsting so much for a national championship that they'll be supportive of it, right? That they will be there, that they will keep buying tickets, that they will keep providing the foundation of support that is necessary to make these kinds of moves.
How important is it, and we'll find out from Jim Knowles himself, but how important is it for a guy like Jim Knowles to be walking into a situation where Terry Smith is a we guy, Anthony Poindexter is a we guy, Dan Connor is a we guy, Deion Barnes is a we guy. It's not my group. It's about understanding how your part fits with the whole. How important is it to have a we staff on both sides of the ball like Penn State has?
It is monumental. It is so much of what's happened over the last few years in terms of you look around the room, right, at Penn State's coaching staff, almost all of these guys have entertained or had the opportunity, I should say, to entertain other offers.
That's right.
Big programs headhunting them that want them to be a part of their organization. And they've said no. And, yes, there's a financial commitment to that. Penn State has been competitive in that pool, but it's also a credit to James Franklin and the culture that he's established within the program. I mean, look, it's so funny. This is a tangent, admittedly, but listening to the broadcast team yesterday talk about Saquon Barkley and how he conducts himself and the type of influence that he provides to the Philadelphia Eagles, they're describing James Franklin.
That's right. That's
right. And it takes nothing away from Saquon Barkley, but the culture and that influence is so ingrained and is a direct reflection of the type of program that James Franklin has run for 11 years, of the selflessness, the team over individual accolades and individual successes. It's just all very reflective of the culture that's been established at Penn State, and one that I think is really hard to deny as being a heavy influence in Jim Knowles' decision to make that move, to become a part of something. Like, I see that as a heavy influence of, hey, you just did it at Ohio State. All of the rumors, all the buzz about their climate and some of the things that go on in that program, which has, again, reached the ultimate levels of success. But is it to the degree of togetherness, maybe, of shared purpose that you see at Penn State? I'm not sure, honestly. And I think that became a very real appeal in making the move.
Yeah, I think that had to have played a role in it, because if you're walking in, you're Andy Koltanicki, he walks into a we culture, right? He walks into J1 Sider, he walks into Ty Howell, Phil Troutwine, Danny O'Brien, Marcus Hagans, like we people. Not like, hey, my group is doing, no. It's all part of what's going on. And defensively, I feel like Jim Knowles is walking into the same thing, where he's going to walk in with people saying, okay, what can we do to make this work together? And I think that makes a big difference for, the money. Money always is going to play a role, in helping getting somebody there. But there are other factors that come into play, not just the top dollar. And I think that's a big factor in all this. And James also has a reputation when it comes to his defensive coordinators of letting them do their job.
Yep. Not just defense coordinators. Everybody.
Right, everybody. That's one of the biggest fallacies. One of the biggest fallacies about James, that's one of those repeated stereotypes, is how he meddles in the offense. Like, I'm sitting there like going, I'm there every day. Are you nuts? It's like
I spoke at a breakfast before the Orange Bowl with a tour group, right? And it's just a Q&A and answer questions and stuff. And the subject of James Franklin calling plays came up, and I was like, "Hey guys, which ones?" Right? We're all standing on the right. We're watching from the sidelines, whatever, from the stands, from the press box. Which are the plays that he calls and the ones that he doesn't call? And the answer is the ones that don't work are the ones that he calls in people's minds.
Right.
The answer in reality is James Franklin doesn't call plays, right? And people don't want to believe it. It's just this. It's an amazing. Just fallacy, right? And get it. I understand why fans feel the way that they do. You want to understand things, or you want to put a reason to things that you don't necessarily understand. But it's just been laid out. It's very clear over the years that that's not something that he does, and is very comfortable with that. And so it's fascinating to see. Now, given the levels of success that they've reached, I think that one is starting to die off. But it's wide ranging. Is you've got a leader in Franklin who has empowered the people who he hires to do their jobs.
That's right.
Their job, especially on the defensive side of the ball, is he has made a commitment over the years that has not abated to have strong defense. He is a defense. I don't know if focused is the right word, but there is a priority on defense that people don't allow for, that people don't acknowledge. The reason to bring in a guy like Jim Knowles is to continue that trajectory and the emphasis that he's put on that with his football programs over the last 10 years.
Bob Shoup, Brent Pry, Manny Diaz, Tom Allen, now Jim Knowles. I mean, he's just okay.
Yep.
But this is what I would recommend to anybody that thinks he calls plays. You obviously have watched Hard Knocks, right?
Yep.
There was a game with Purdue just a few years ago where they mic'd up James and they did an entire, I think it was a half hour. It was on HBO. And Liv Schreiber ends up being the narrator of it, just like he is with Hard Knocks. And James is mic'd up. Which plays is he calling?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen to it. He's mic'd up. He's talking to he's talking to people on the whatever. Which plays is he calling? Right?
Correct.
I'm sorry. I apologize to the audience for bringing up a concrete example. My apologies. All right. So
don't do it again, Steve.
Sorry for having a memory. All right. So. When Jim Knowles meets with the media, what's the one question you'd like to hear and the answer to it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's why I asked it.
Certainly, yeah. I think certainly how he intends to continue and or improve upon the results that Penn State has had over the last 5 years, right? It's been pretty consistent. This has been a top 20, top 15, top 10 defense year in and year out. What is it that he brings to the table that will allow it to do what you described, right? To prevent that one extra score, because certainly I don't think anybody looks at the way that Penn State's season ended and puts it specifically on Tom Allen. I don't think that would be fair.
No.
But are there things that might have been done differently that might have improved results? Sure. Right? And so if he what is it that he does that will allow them to continue that trajectory?
Yeah. Again, idealistically, can my offensive coordinator that I hire find me one more score each half? Idealistically, can the defensive coordinator I find come in and find me idealistically one more stop each half? It's amazing how just one more makes a big difference.
I also think it's interesting the shift that you've seen in, and I believe this will be true again under Knowles, is moving the coordinators out of position coach responsibilities.
Oh,
right.
That's huge.
To allow these guys to float, to allow them to truly coordinate their side of the ball. Certainly with Penn State having Dan Connor, Andy Kolnicki having Danny O'Brien, you name it. The way that Penn State and James Franklin have structured the coaching staff to allow for those things to happen, I think it's extremely important, and I think it's an appeal. I think it's something that really resonates and makes the job more conducive to having success for those guys in that chair, that seat.
Always a pleasure. Best of luck in the Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Very good.
Looking forward to your shot on 7.
Thanks so much, Steve. Call a good one tonight, all right?
I'll do the best I can. They point me toward the court, I talk. I mean, let's not pretend it's any more complicated than that.
Great. I'll be listening. Can't wait.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate you.
All right. You too. Bye.
Nate Bauer, on3.com, Blue White Illustrated. Frank Bodani, final half hour. This half hour brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. The suit's already stocked up for the Super Bowl. He's all excited. Oh, right? All excited. Eagles in a big game. Taking on Mahomes and the Chiefs. The ultimate, I could see the suit using the word revenge over and over again, and it plays no role whatsoever on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.